The British climate is extremely variable and fickle. Look at it, bright blue skies, autumn leaves, some trees are still green, and it's a lovely day. Today is the 25th of October, and only yesterday we had heavy rains and storms, and it was absolutely miserable. So, as they say, we should always be grateful for little mercies, and this is one of those mercies that we get. So what am I going to do on a lovely day like this? It's a lovely day for videoing, and I'm going to walk around and start thinking about what I will do. We have some very large junipers. This one is about 80-90 centimeter tall. This one is not dissimilar, with beautiful driftwood. Another one with beautiful driftwood, and that's a piece of dead wood that I purchased from someone for flower arranging. And so it goes on. We have many junipers on the nursery. I don't want to frighten you with some of these large trees, because many people get put off when they see these beautiful specimens. They're for admiring, but for most ordinary bonsai hobbyists, they are outside the scope of what you can achieve. So you can only hope to achieve it in a small way and in a very modest way. I will show you what you can do to achieve something which is more manageable. I'm looking at this one. This is not an Itoigawa. This is a Sabina juniper. It's a European juniper. The foliage is slightly different from Itoigawa. Itoigawa juniper is at the moment one of the most sought after and prized junipers that you can have. So these are Itoigawas we've had. These we imported back in 2005, 2006 when I used to visit Japan personally. So they've been here for 10 years and we're still training them. Some of these larger specimens, that's a 70 centimeter juniper. This was imported 3 years ago. And we are lucky that we are able to bring these specimens in from Japan. They're all between 60 years plus old. Many people are confused by the different types of juniper. So this is Kisu. It is spelled K-I-S-U or K-I-S-O-O. Kisu. It's a type of Junipers chinensis, Chinese juniper. And this is the Bloor's juniper, which is also a chinensis. It is a Japanese juniper, but as I keep reminding you, it was discovered by a Dutchman called Mr. Blaus. And when he went to Japan about 100 or 200 years ago, he discovered that and brought it back to Europe. This is another Kisu, exquisite tree. Look at it. I've had that for about 30 years. One of the few trees that I refuse to sell. This one is about 1.1 or 1.2 meter tall. That's a huge juniper. This is an Itoigawa. You see how fine the foliage is. You must be wondering what this video is about. It's about junipers, but I'm going to show you how to make small junipers. This is only the introduction to show you the large junipers, which are also available on our nursery and which you can make, but I'm not going to frighten you off with all these different junipers. Let me now go on to another juniper. This is our European juniper, which is the San Jose, and this was a project that we did about 2008, which is 17 years ago, and it has matured. Parts of the branches have died, but it's not a tanuki, it's a genuine San Jose juniper. That is one of our very nice junipers too. That's an Itoigawa. That again is about 1 meter or 1.1 meter tall. Now this one is a customer's tree. I imported this in 2001 possibly from Western Saitama, and this one is a Tohoku juniper. And this tree has a diameter of about 8 inches across, 8 or 10 inches across. It's huge, absolutely huge tree. And if you look at it, it has very floppy foliage and it's covered in juniper berry. covered in berries. And mind you, if you sow these juniper berries, they do germinate quite easily. I don't want to keep confusing you with all these different types of juniper. I will get to the point in a minute. This is only by way of introduction. These are kisu that we import from Japan. We import them for 1 or 2 years, grow them on, and they become larger specimens. So we have lots and lots of junipers. So I'm getting nearer the point because I'm now going to show you what we are going to work on. I'm not going to show you how to do these large trees. That one is also quite large. That's about 70 centimeter tall. But we have a lot of other junipers which are within the scope of most amateurs. Now, certain trees that we import from Japan, we import it for a very good reason, because we cannot make it easily in the UK. Now, these are Itoigawa Juniper, and we import it because they've got these very intricate and beautiful, beautiful twisted trunks. I'm going to take a few of these in. You see how many we've got here, and I will show you what we will do with these. So we're going to pick a few and take it into the back greenhouse. So here we are with all these Itoigawa junipers. We have hundreds of these on the nursery. We imported these about 4 or 5 years ago, and I've been growing them on to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is what you find after 5 years, lovely deep green. And you notice that we have a lot of bags around here because we propagate from these trees. We actually propagate from these trees. So this one hasn't been air laid, but this is what I mean. If you look at this tree, this straight part, most people would cut off and make a driftwood with it, but rather than cut it off, we will put a bag around it and we will air layer it and get another tree. So let me show you what I'm going to do with some of these trees that we've pulled out. So if you come here, we will show you. This is the part that has been made. I would say these trees are a minimum of 20 years old, at least 20. If you grow juniper from cutting like that, it will take quite long to get this very twisted trunk. These trunks have been twisted when the branches are thin like that, like a matchstick, twisted like that, and then grown on in the ground or in pots, and then potted up like this. So this is quite an old tree. And I'm going to show you what we can make from this. Okay, so we are talking about air layering. So these are the trees that we have air layered. And you come close, you will see all the roots coming out from here. This is just in 3 months. And there's another one here. Look at the roots on that. Look at the air layering there. All rooted. So we're going to cut it off from there and we will pot it on. I can cut it off now, but I may wait a little longer to get more roots growing from there. And once we've cut it off, this is what happens. You see the top has been cut off, and that is the bottom part that we will wire on. So I'm going to show you what we do with this one. So this is one of the junipers that we've put in a temporary training pot, and we've eliminated a lot of the thick branches, and it's simply a case of wiring the thinner branches. So you can see the potential here, and because it's lovely and twisted, there's a little bit of shari which the Japanese growers have already started making, and we will emphasize that, and all we have to do is create a conical shape from that. So most of the branches are in place, and it's not rocket science to determine what needs to be done. So we will begin by showing you a bit of the wiring. And because Itoigawa is such a desirable species, we don't throw away any of the things we cut off. We propagate them as cuttings. Very desirable trees. It's very hard to get, so we make sure we save every little twig. Now this is quite a congested branch here, but we will use the faults of this tree and exploit it to the full. Okay, so it's all a question of creating the triangular shape. So again, we will decide what grade of wire to use. I think with these thin branches, I think 2 millimeter wire or 2.5 might do. So, as I say, if it doesn't work, we can always use a thicker grade of wire. So again, 2 branch principle. We are trying to find branches in pairs and wire them up. May be difficult to see the detail, but you got to trust me. All I'm trying to do is pair up the branches. I can understand why people are so fond of Itoigawa as a variety, because the foliage is very, very fine, and when it's grown well, the green is a very deep green. Some junipers, like the blores, tend to have a bluish tinge to the tree, which is not always that desirable. There's an odd back branch here, so before I cut it off or do anything with it, I will just keep it in case I need it. I'm just going to show you some of the wiring because I don't want to bore you showing me wind the wire on the branches. I'm going to explain to you which branches I'm going to select, and then the detail, the mechanics of wiring, I will do it and then show you the finished thing. So those 2 branches have been wired. If you look closely at the top from here, it's very congested and complicated there. And I'm trying to use all of it. So maybe these 2 branches can be wired. I'm all the time looking for branches in pairs to wire together. You will also notice that most of these junipers, they have this habit of producing these tips. And the way to get that very nice dense effect is simply to take the tips out. What we call tipping the juniper. If you want to make this a bigger tree, then by all means leave these tips to grow into longer branches. So all these long branches, for instance this long branch here, this thick long branch there, would have been a branch like that, a tip which has grown. So if you want to make it extend and grow into a thick branch, you just leave it to grow. In fact, quite a few of these trees we've planted in our fields to become big trees. So although we do bring some trees from Japan, we grow them on for many years on the nursery so that they become thicker, and then we can change and modify the style as it goes along. Okay, so as I said, I'm just pairing all the branches together and then seeing the effect. So I will hold off, so these 2 will be paired off. So everything in sight is going to be wired, and I'll show you the end result for that. When you come to the nursery, we do sell these trees. Look at that beautiful trunk there. People buy it for the beautiful trunk and then they style it themselves to create the detail that they want. Now, I've deliberately pulled out this one because I certainly don't want to just discard this and chop it off and throw it away. You can't make a cutting which is so thick. So I will air layer it and wait for a new tree to grow, and then I will sever it. But should I want to start styling it, there's no reason why I can't style it and still air layer it. So that will save me some time. So what I'm going to do with this one, I'm not going to do any cheating. I'm actually going to wire this one to show you the finished product and then air lay that as well. So I'm going to wire the bottom parts that can be wired. The parts that don't have potential for using as branches, I will cut off. So for instance, this one, I can keep that one And then this branch here, if you home in close, this one I'm going to take off because I don't think I can use this in the design, and it's not that thick for air layering. The same goes for this one as well at the back. This could make a very beautiful gin, so I'm going to cut this off. So this is going to be used for cuttings. You see how beautiful this tree is. Look at it. So this tree, you're spoiled for choice. The front could be this side, or the front could be this side. Either side is nice. This side is also nice. You see how beautiful they are. This side is possible front, and this side is also a possible front, with this as driftwood, these as branches. So I'm going to work on these and show you the end result. So all I'm going to do is to wire these branches down, and I'll complete the design and then also air layer this. So at the same time of air layering, I'm letting this grow, and I'll put this in a bigger pot. So wait till I've done the wiring and I'll show it to you again. So I'm self-videoing now to show you where I've got to, because camera lady is not by me. This thick branch I've left so that I'm going to make a gin from that. And this branch here, which is in the way, this one, I may take off and make the leader somewhere there. There's a thick branch there going to the side. I may keep that just to strengthen the tree. It doesn't need to be there, but you can see how it's coming. Simply a triangular shape, wiring all the branches, and we're keeping the top for air layering. This is a rather unusual thing to do, but it will work because I don't want to waste anything. So I'll show you this again when I've got nearer the finish. So I've done about half an hour's of videoing on 2 trees, and from this one, all I had cut off was this long branch here, which I will probably gin, and this was from the back of that one. So that's all I cut off, but I'm going to keep these for making heel cuttings of Itoigawa. Okay, so that's where I've got to. Many of you think that this is useful, but probably not. I think it is clouding too much. I will just cut it off so that it's not so much of a distraction. I could use it for a little bit of gin later on. So this is clearly the front. Lovely. I can open out the shari a little more. And this one here, if I just hide it with my hand, can you see, rather than a bag, I don't really need that. So I can get rid of this one. But if I keep it, I can thicken the trunk, but it may cause inverse taper there. So I don't know. I may take it off and make a gin out of that one. Okay, I've decided to cut that off. But that one definitely will be gin. So I don't want to show you the detail of making gin. I'm just showing you what I'm actually going to do. I usually like to split it with the branch splitter. Some people use small Dremels to refine it. So you get the general idea. I just started it, I can finish it off. So that will be gin there. Now, because this is going to be a tree maybe in a year's time after the air layering has succeeded, I can either use this as the leader or this as the leader. So if I use this as the leader, I'm going to wrap it around like this to give it like a twisted leader. Can you see? Because I'm not trying to make a finished tree straight away. I've got all the time in the world, a year, in which to wait. So I'm going to do it like that, so the tree will look like that. So can you see the shape? Forget this. The top is going to be air layered. So let me put a towel around it. So this is your tree. Like so. Eventually it will be like that. But just to show you the complete process, I could have easily cut it off and made a gin there. But why waste? I'm not a person who likes to waste. So I'm going to air layer it. If you look closely, I've explained before that you see these little knobbly bits here. Home in on the camera, you see these are the dormant roots. You simply have to immerse soil or moss here and these roots will come out. So junipers are very easy to root. These are all dormant roots that come out. So I think I will make the air layer somewhere there. And this is our special air layering tool. So that's what we do. You see what a beautiful tool this is. In one go, it removes all the bark. There you are with that. And then all I do is put a ball of moss here, and within 2 or 3 months I will get another plant from there. So this is your future bonsai. Okay, that's that one. Now this one also is a similar tree, but this one, the air layer I took off earlier this year. It was started in October of 2024. I separated the air layering in March, and I've got to this stage. So this is the next stage from that. And this is how this tree is progressing. So there's not much more to be done to it. You can see how the tree is forming. This will have a long sweeping branch. I can keep these tips if I want. And that is how we develop these. So as I say, we have hundreds of these on the nursery, and they're all very suitable for bonsai. This, by the way, is the start of the winter color. We've had some cold nights, and these ones were kept in the greenhouse so they didn't get so brown. So don't be fooled or don't be worried should your junipers turn brown, because this is the typical winter coloration of the Chinese junipers. And in fact, most evergreens. The cryptomeria in particular turns almost red. So this one, we can do the same thing. We can gin some of these thick branches and simply use the thin branches. But why waste it? You could even make a small layering with these and get a small shohin bonsai. I might well do these just for the heck of it and see how the tree develops. So all these trees have tremendous potential. Again, if you look closely at this tree, if you home in close, the tree is here, the tree is there, and this pot can be air layered. So I can get 3 small air layerings from these. So how interesting is that? So if you're a clever guy, you can save all these little bits and get several trees out of one tree. And this is what some of our customers do. They know exactly what they're doing, and you will get a lot of value for your money from these semi-trained Itoigawa junipers. So the main work has been done in Japan, getting this twisted trunk. You can't do it in a lifetime. It would take a long time. You would have to bend these from very young and grow them on. We grow them on till the trunks get thick. So I hope you've learned something from these Itoigawa junipers that I've done.